You're playing a deadly game, Thando.
High-rise Atlanta penthouse night. Thando has Minho backed against floor-to-ceiling windows, bodies pressed together, city glowing behind them. "You think you can own me?" she breathes against his mouth. His tattooed hands grip her hips brutally. I already do. She laughs, dangerous. Then watch closely. She kisses him violently. He spins her against the glass, both panting. You're playing a deadly game, Thando. Her nails rake his tattooed back. I'll make you ache for me first. He groans.
Then what?
Then what? She pulls back, eyes blazing. Then I burn it all down, whispered. Everything you love, everything you built, everything you are. He stares at her, desire and fear mixing. Do it. I dare you. Lovies, welcome home to Afro-Seoul TV. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button because we only serve tearjerkers, heartbreakers, and game changers. Between two worlds, beyond all borders, this story is about to wreck you in the best way. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? Atlanta, Seoul, Johannesburg, London, Toronto? Let's see how far this fire spreads. The bass pounded through Obsidian nightclub in Buckhead like a heartbeat, vibrating through expensive marble floors and crystal chandeliers that cost more than most people's cars. Thando and Kosi moved through the VIP section like she owned it, her curves wrapped in a dress that made every man in the room forget their dates. Rich, caramel brown skin glowed under strategic lighting, her confidence radiating despite the fear coiled tight in her stomach. 5 years. 5 years since she'd watched grainy security footage of a tattooed Korean man shooting her father 3 times in a Johannesburg hotel room. 5 years of tracking that man across continents, following whispers and rumors until they led her here. To Atlanta, to Kang Minho. She wasn't here for justice. The courts couldn't give her what she needed. She was here to destroy him, piece by piece, the way he destroyed her family. From across the club, Minho watched her with predatory interest. Devastatingly handsome didn't begin to cover it. Sharp jawline, intense dark eyes that seemed to see through every lie, an athletic build showcased perfectly in an expensive black suit. Beautiful, intricate tattoos covered his forearms and crept up his neck, visible even from a distance. He looked like sin wrapped in designer clothing. He'd been expecting her. His intelligence network had flagged her weeks ago. A South African woman asking too many questions about him in the wrong circles. He knew exactly who she was. Thando and Kosi, 27, investigative journalist daughter, here for revenge. What she didn't know was that he needed her just as badly as she thought she needed him. Because the man who killed her father wasn't Minho. It was his identical twin brother, Junho. And Thando was about to become the perfect bait to finally catch a psychopath who'd been using Minho's face to commit atrocities for 5 years. He approached her at the VIP bar with calculated confidence. You're new here. Thando turned slowly, meeting those dangerous eyes up close. Her heart hammered, but she kept her voice steady. Just visiting. Heard your club was worth seeing. And? He leaned against the bar beside her, close enough that she could smell his cologne. Something expensive and masculine that made her pulse quicken, despite herself. Is it? She let her gaze travel deliberately over him, taking in the tattoos peeking from his collar, the way his suit jacket stretched across broad shoulders. I've seen more impressive things. His lips curved into a smile that was equal parts charm and threat. Have you now? That's disappointing. I pride myself on being impressive. Maybe you're just not trying hard enough. The air between them crackled with tension and unspoken challenge. He gestured to the bartender. Macallan, 25, 2 glasses. Then to her, join me for a drink away from the noise. I'm curious about you. This was it, the opening she'd been waiting for. She should feel triumphant. Instead, she felt her stomach twist with something that wasn't entirely fear. Lead the way. His office was on the top floor, accessed by a private elevator that required a fingerprint scan. Thando cataloged every detail, the security measures, the layout, potential exits, The room itself was all dark leather and sleek, modern furniture. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Atlanta's glittering skyline. Minho poured whiskey into crystal glasses, his movements precise and controlled. "You can drop the act now, Thando." She froze. "Excuse me?" "The real estate consultant cover. It's good, but not good enough." He handed her a glass, his fingers brushing hers deliberately. "I make it my business to know when beautiful, dangerous women walk into my life." Her mind raced. How much did he know? She forced a laugh. "I'm not dangerous. You're a terrible liar." He sat on the leather couch, gesturing for her to join him. When she hesitated, his smile widened. "Relax. If I wanted to hurt you, you'd already be hurt. I'm simply curious." She sat, maintaining distance between them, gun heavy in her purse. Curious about what? About what brings Thando Nkosi, daughter of murdered journalist Marcus Nkosi, all the way from Johannesburg to my club in Atlanta. His voice was casual, but his eyes were laser-focused on her reaction. Quite the journey for someone who claims to be here for real estate. The blood drained from her face. He knew everything. This was a trap. Her hand moved toward her purse. "I wouldn't." His voice was soft but commanding. "You're fast, but I'm faster. And you didn't come all this way to shoot me in my own office, did you? That's not your style. You want me to suffer first. You murdered my father." The words came out venomous. 5 years of rage condensed into 4 words. "No." His expression shifted. Something that looked almost like pain flickering across his features. "I didn't, but I know who did. Don't lie to me. I'm not lying." He set his glass down carefully, leaning forward. "Your father was investigating a weapons trafficking ring. He was killed by someone who looks exactly like me, sounds like me, has the same tattoos as me. But it wasn't me, Thando. It was my twin brother, Junho." She stared at him, trying to process what he was saying. "You have a twin brother." "An identical twin. We were separated as children, reunited as adults. Only by then, he'd become something I'm not." Minho's voice was heavy. "A killer. A psychopath who's been using my identity to commit crimes for 5 years. And I've been hunting him ever since." "That's the most ridiculous." "Is it?" He pulled out his phone, scrolling through images. "Explain how I can be in 2 places at once. Seoul and Johannesburg on the same night. Paris and Miami. Dubai and Atlanta." He showed her time-stamped security footage, airline records, all showing a man with his face in impossible locations simultaneously. Thando's hands shook as she looked at the evidence. It was too detailed to be fake, too extensive. "You expect me to believe you have an evil twin? I expect you to help me catch him." Minho's voice dropped, urgent and intense. "Because he murdered your father, and he'll keep killing until someone stops him. Why would I trust you? Because despite everything, despite the lies and the manipulation, I think we both feel this." He moved closer on the couch, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating off him. "This thing between us that has nothing to do with revenge or justice or dead fathers." Her breath hitched. He was right. From the moment their eyes met downstairs, there'd been something electric, something that made her skin burn and her mind fog. She hated it, hated him for making her feel it. "You're insane," she whispered. "Maybe." His hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. "But I'm not wrong." The kiss happened explosively. She never knew who moved first. Maybe both of them simultaneously, drawn together by something neither could control. His mouth was demanding, possessive, and she responded with equal aggression, her hands fisting in his shirt. They fell back against the couch, his body covering hers, his tattooed hands sliding up her thighs and pushing her dress higher. She should push him away, stick to her plan, remember why she was here. Instead, she arched into him, gasping when his mouth moved to her neck, teeth grazing the sensitive skin. "I hate you," she breathed, even as her nails dug into his shoulders through his shirt. "Good," he groaned against her throat. "Hate me while I make you come undone." His hands were everywhere, learning her curves, making her forget every rational thought. She tore at his shirt, buttons scattering, desperate to touch the tattooed skin beneath. When her fingers traced the ink covering his chest and arms, he shuddered. Then gunshots exploded outside the office. Minho moved instantly, his entire demeanor transforming. He pushed her flat against the couch, his body shielding hers, one hand reaching into a desk drawer and emerging with a gun. "Stay down." "What?" "Quiet." Through the office's glass wall, Thando saw men in masks storming through the club, firing weapons, people screaming and running. But Minho wasn't panicking. He moved with professional precision, returning fire through the doorway, each shot calculated and controlled. This wasn't a nightclub owner defending his business. This was someone with military or intelligence training, someone who'd done this before. The attack lasted less than 3 minutes. When the masked men retreated, leaving chaos in their wake, Minho turned back to her. His shirt was torn open from their earlier encounter, tattoos and sculpted muscle on full display, guns still in his hand. He looked like something out of a thriller movie. "Are you hurt?" His voice was steady despite what just happened. "No, what the hell was that?" "A message." His jaw clenched. "For me, from people who want me dead." "From your brother?" "Probably. Or from the organization he works with." He holstered the gun, helping her up. "Either way, they know you're with me now, which means you're a target too." "I didn't ask for your protection." "You don't have a choice anymore." His hands were on her shoulders, his expression grim. "You came here hunting me. Now we're both being hunted, so we can work together to survive, or we can die separately. Your call." Thando's mind spun. This wasn't how tonight was supposed to go. She was supposed to be in control, manipulating him, setting up his destruction. Instead, she was caught in something far more complex and dangerous than she'd imagined. "I need time to think." "You don't have time. They'll be watching your hotel. You're coming with me." "Like hell?" "Thando." He gripped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. "I know you came here to kill me. I know you hate me for what you think I did. But your father wouldn't want you dead over this. So let me keep you alive long enough to prove I'm telling the truth. Then you can decide if you still want to pull that trigger." She stared at him, seeing something in his eyes that looked genuine, desperate even. "Fine, but I'm keeping my gun." "I wouldn't expect anything less." In his car, a sleek black vehicle that probably cost 6 figures, Thando watched how he drove, checking mirrors constantly, taking random turns, looking for tails, definitely trained. "Who are you really?" she asked quietly. "Someone who spent 5 years trying to stop a monster who wears my face." He glanced at her, something vulnerable in his expression. Someone who's destroyed his own life trying to fix his brother's damage. At his penthouse, the tension between them reignited immediately. The space was modern and expensive, all floor-to-ceiling windows and minimalist furniture. But Thando barely noticed the decor because Minho was standing too close, his torn shirt still hanging open, his eyes dark with the same desire that had consumed them in his office. "I should set you up in the guest room," he said, but he didn't move. "You should," she agreed, but she stepped closer instead. "This is a terrible idea. The worst." He kissed her again, harder this time, walking her backward toward his bedroom. This time there were no interruptions. They shed clothes in a trail across his floor, hands desperate and seeking, mouths hungry. When he finally pushed inside her, both of them gasped. The connection was overwhelming. Physical, yes, but something else too. Something that felt like recognition, like 2 broken pieces finally finding each other. "I don't even know you," she panted as he moved inside her. "You know enough," he breathed against her neck. "You know I make you feel alive." She did. God help her, she did. After lying in tangled silk sheets, she traced the tattoos covering his chest and arms. Korean characters, dragons, geometric patterns, beautiful and intricate. What does this one mean? She pointed to characters over his heart. "Brother's keeper." His voice was heavy with old pain. A reminder of a promise I made when we were children, to always protect him. I failed. You can't protect someone from themselves. Maybe not, but I can stop them from hurting others. He rolled to face her, his hand cupping her face. Your father wasn't the first. Junho has killed at least 7 people I know of, probably more. And you've been tracking him alone? I had help initially, former military intelligence partner, but she had to go underground when things got too dangerous. He studied her face. Why are you really here, Thando? Just revenge? Or is there more? The question cut too close. She looked away. My father was everything to me. Losing him destroyed my family. My mother hasn't smiled in 5 years. My little sister Amale is terrified of her own shadow now, afraid everyone she loves will be murdered too. I'm sorry, he said quietly. Truly. Sorry doesn't bring him back. No, but destroying the person who actually killed him might give you closure. And that person isn't me. She wanted to believe him, but 5 years of rage and grief made trust impossible. Prove it. Show me evidence that there really are 2 of you. He got up, magnificently comfortable in his nakedness, and pulled files from a safe, spread them across the bed. Photos, documents, police reports, crimes committed by Kang Minho when Minho had alibis, security footage, witness statements, flight records. The evidence was overwhelming, irrefutable. There really were 2 men. But which one was she lying naked with right now? As if reading her mind, Minho said softly, check my left shoulder blade. There's a burn scar from when we were 4. House fire. Our mother saved us both, but we were marked. We both have it. She sat up, looking at his back. The scar was there, old and faded, but unmistakable. Your brother has the same one? Identical. We're twins, Thando. Everything about us is the same. He turned back to her. Which is why catching him is so difficult, and why I need you. How can I possibly help? Be bait. Junho knows I've been hunting him. If he sees you with me, the daughter of one of his victims, he'll be curious. Maybe curious enough to make contact, to gloat. You want to use me as bait to catch your psychotic twin brother. She said it flatly, trying to process the insanity. Yes, but I'll protect you. I promise. The last time someone promised to protect my family, my father ended up dead. His face showed real pain. I'm not them, and I won't let Junho hurt you. She should say no, should grab her clothes and run. Instead, she heard herself say, if I do this, if I help you, I want the truth, all of it. No more secrets. Deal. And when we catch him, I get to be there. I get to look him in the eye and tell him what he took from me. Okay? And if you're lying, if you're him pretending to be the good twin, I will kill you myself. He smiled, but it was sad. I wouldn't expect anything less, beautiful. They made love again, slower this time, both knowing they'd crossed a point of no return. When she fell asleep in his arms, she felt safe for the first time in years. Dangerously, foolishly safe. But at 3 a.m, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Hello, beautiful Thando. Did my brother spin you a nice story about an evil twin? How creative. Here's the truth. There's only one of us. Minho is the psychopath. He's been using this twin story for years to cover his crimes. Check his left shoulder blade. If there's a scar from a childhood burn, you're sleeping with your father's killer. Sweet dreams. Jay. Her blood turned to ice. She carefully shifted away from the sleeping man beside her, pulled back the sheet, and checked his left shoulder blade in the moonlight. The scar was there. Exactly where it shouldn't be if his story was true. Unless both brothers really did have it, or unless this whole thing was an elaborate lie, or unless the man sleeping beside her was Junho pretending to be Minho. She grabbed her clothes silently, dressed in the dark, found her gun. She had to get out, had to think, had to figure out what was real and what was manipulation. But as she crept toward the door, she saw her reflection in a window. And in that reflection, she saw something that made her soul freeze. On the street below, illuminated by streetlights, stood a man. Looking up at the penthouse, a man with the exact same build, the exact same posture as the one sleeping in the bed behind her. A man who looked identical to Minho. Her phone buzzed again. Another text. See him? That's the real Minho, or am I the real one? Can you tell the difference, Thando? Neither can I anymore. She ran. Thando didn't go back to her hotel. She couldn't. If Minho was telling the truth, someone was watching it. If the text was telling the truth, she just slept with her father's murderer. Either way, she needed answers that didn't come from a man who might be lying. She checked into a cheap motel outside Atlanta, paid cash, used a fake name, spent the rest of the night hunched over her laptop, searching everything she could find about Korean twins, about Kang Min-hyo, about whether one person could maintain such an elaborate deception for 5 years. The information was contradictory and maddening. Korean birth records showed Kang Min-hyo registered as a single birth in Seoul, 1992. No twin listed, but then she found something buried in sealed adoption records. A second infant from the same hospital, same date, separated from family at age 5, and adopted domestically. Name changed in the records. No further trail. It could be real, or it could be an expertly forged paper trail planted by someone with resources and time. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Minho calling, texting. Where are you? Please answer. Are you safe? Junho contacted you, didn't he? Don't believe anything he says. She ignored them all until a video file came through with a single message. Watch this, then decide who's lying. She almost deleted it, but her journalist training demanded she look at all evidence. She opened the file. Security footage, black and white, time-stamped 3 months ago. An alley behind a building she didn't recognize. 2 men who looked absolutely identical standing face-to-face in the frame. Same height, same build, same athletic posture. Even from the grainy footage, she could see tattoos on both their forearms. The conversation looked heated. One gestured aggressively. The other stepped back, defensive. Then suddenly one pulled a gun. The other dodged with trained precision. They fought, vicious, perfectly matched hand-to-hand combat. It ended with one man on the ground bleeding, the other escaping frame left. The timestamp was verifiable. The location data embedded in the file checked out. This footage would be nearly impossible to fake convincingly, and certainly not worth the massive effort for an elaborate lie. There really were 2 of them, but which one had she spent the night with? Another text from Minho. Did you watch it? That's from when I tracked Junho to an arms deal. He escaped, but I wounded him. Thando, please, let me explain everything, face to face. Against every instinct screaming at her to stay hidden, she texted back an address. A public coffee shop, lots of witnesses. If he tried anything, she'd have her gun and people around. He arrived within 20 minutes, looking exhausted. Dark circles under his eyes, hair disheveled, wearing jeans and a dark shirt that showed his tattoos. He slid into the booth across from her, hands visible on the table. You came, he said quietly. I watched the video. I researched the adoption records. Thando kept her voice steady. But I need more than circumstantial evidence. I need proof that you're who you say you are. What kind of proof? Take me to someone who can verify your story. Someone who's known both of you. Someone with no reason to lie for you. Minho was quiet for a moment, then nodded. Okay, Park Soo-jin, my former partner from Korean military intelligence. She's living in Atlanta under an assumed identity. She worked with me for 6 years, met Junho twice, helped me fake my death 3 years ago so I could hunt him without him knowing I was alive. You faked your death? Had to. Junho was systematically destroying everything I built, everyone I cared about, using my face to do it. The only way to stop him was to die, officially, and hunt him from the shadows. His dark eyes were intense. Soo-jin has documentation going back years, records, files, surveillance. Everything you need to verify I'm telling the truth. And if this is another manipulation, if she's part of whatever game you're playing, then you shoot both of us and walk away. He said it simply, like it was reasonable. But you came to Atlanta for truth about your father's murder. I'm offering you that truth. Take it or don't. 30 minutes later, they pulled up to a modest house in a quiet suburb. The kind of neighborhood where nothing exciting ever happened and everyone knew their neighbors. Soo-jin answered the door in yoga pants and an oversized sweater. looking more like a suburban mom than a former intelligence operative. You must be Thando and Cozy. Her English was flawless, accent barely detectable. Come in, we have a lot to discuss. Inside, the house was minimalist and neat. Sujin gestured them to a couch while she took an armchair, moving with an economy of motion that spoke of training. Minho told you about Yunho. He told me a story about an evil twin brother. I need to know if it's true or if I've been played. It's true. Unfortunately, Sujin's expression was grim. I worked with Minho in Korean military intelligence for 6 years. Black operations, mostly. I met Junho twice. Once was more than enough to understand what he is, which is a functional psychopath with extensive combat training and no moral compass whatsoever. Sujin leaned forward. They're genetically identical. Same DNA, same fingerprints, same physical characteristics. But psychologically, opposites. Minho has a conscience. Junho has nothing where empathy should be. How convenient that the evil twin is conveniently a psychopath with no feelings. It's not convenient, it's tragic. Sujin glanced at Minho, something like pity in her eyes. They were both subjected to experimental psychological conditioning as children, part of a classified program I can't discuss. It did something to Yunho's development, broke something fundamental. Minho survived it relatively intact, barely. Thando studied Minho's face. He looked pained, staring at his tattooed hands like they held answers. Show me proof. Real proof that two people have been operating as Kang Minho. Sujin pulled out a tablet, swiping through files. Here, timeline analysis, as she turned the screen. May 2021, Kang Minho murdered a politician in Tokyo. Same day, same time window, the real Minho was in surgery in Seoul recovering from a gunshot wound. Hospital records, surgeon testimony, security footage, all verifiable. She swiped again. August 2022, Kang Minho robbed a jewelry store in Dubai. Real Minho was on a flight from Paris to New York, time-stamped airline records, passenger manifest, in-flight purchase records. More swipes, more evidence. Years of crimes committed by Kang Minho when Minho had ironclad alibis placing him elsewhere. The documentation was overwhelming and would require massive resources to forge convincingly. Your father was investigating a weapons trafficking network operating between South Africa and Southeast Asia, Sujin said gently. Junho was working security for them. When Marcus and Cozy got too close to exposing the operation's leadership, Junho killed him in that Johannesburg hotel. Used Minho's identity deliberately, knowing it would eventually circle back to his brother. Why? Thando's voice cracked. Why would he do that to his own twin? Because destroying Minho's life is a game to him. Minho finally spoke, voice hollow. Every crime he commits wearing my face, every person he hurts using my name, it gives him pleasure. He enjoys watching me try to clean up his messes, knowing I can never fully escape because we're identical. Even DNA evidence doesn't help. Thando felt the truth of it settling into her bones. The pain in his voice, the years of documented evidence, the sheer logistics of maintaining such an elaborate lie. It was real. All of it. I believe you, she said quietly. The relief that washed over Minho's face was profound. Thank you. So how do we catch him? We use you as bait. Sujin's expression turned apologetic. Junho monitors Minho obsessively. He knows by now that you've been seen with his brother. He'll be curious about why the daughter of one of his victims is suddenly close to Minho. Curious enough to make contact, to gloat. And when he makes contact, we'll be ready. Minho reached for Thando's hand, his tattooed fingers lacing through hers. I won't let him hurt you. I swear on everything I am. They spent the next hour planning. Thando would continue being seen publicly with Minho at his clubs, restaurants, around Atlanta. They'd make it look like a real relationship, draw Junho's attention. When he made contact, they'd set a trap. He'll try to seduce you away from Minho, Sujin warned, make you doubt everything, convince you that Minho is actually the dangerous one. That's his pattern with everyone close to Minho. I can handle manipulation. Can you? Sujin's gaze was knowing. Because you're already emotionally involved. That makes you vulnerable to exactly the kind of psychological warfare Junho excels at. Thando's face heated, realizing how obvious her feelings were. Back at Minho's penthouse that evening, the tension between them reignited immediately. He poured wine, handed her a glass, their fingers brushing deliberately. Neither of them drank. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, "for all of this, for dragging you into my nightmare. I dragged myself in. I came here hunting you, remember? You came here for justice. Now you're helping me catch a monster." He moved closer. "That's not what you signed up for." "Maybe not, but now that I know the truth, I can't walk away." She set her glass down. "My father would want me to stop Yunho, to make sure he can't hurt anyone else the way he hurt our family." "Your father would be proud of you." Minho cupped her face gently. "You're brave and brilliant, and you're choosing to fight instead of run." "So are you. You've been fighting him alone for 5 years." "Not anymore." His thumb brushed her cheekbone. "Now I have you." The kiss was inevitable. Soft at first, tentative, then deepening as she grabbed his shirt and pulled him closer. They stumbled toward the bedroom, shedding clothes, hands desperate and seeking. This time was different than before. No more uncertainty, no more lies between them. Just raw, honest need in the beginning of something that felt dangerously like love. He took his time, worshiping every inch of her body, making her gasp his name multiple times before finally pushing inside her. They moved together with building intensity, both chasing something more than physical release. "Look at me," he demanded when she closed her eyes, overwhelmed. "I want to see you." She met his intense gaze, the intimacy of it almost unbearable. This wasn't just attraction anymore. This was connection, recognition, something profound. "I'm falling for you," she admitted breathlessly. "I don't want to, but I am." "Good." He kissed her deeply. "Because I'm already gone for you, Thando. Completely gone." They shattered together, holding each other like they were the only real things in a world of lies. After, lying in tangled sheets, Thando traced the tattoos covering his chest. "Tell me you're real, that this is real. It's real, I promise you." He pulled her closer. "Everything else in my life might be smoke and mirrors, but this, you and me, this is the most real thing I've felt in years." 3 days later, the trap was set. Thando had carefully leaked her location through underworld contacts. She'd be alone at an abandoned warehouse in industrial Atlanta, meeting a source about the weapons trafficking network. The perfect bait. Minho and Sujin were positioned nearby, listening through the wire Thando wore, ready to move in the moment Junho appeared. Thando stood in the empty warehouse, pulse hammering, hand near her concealed gun, waiting. Footsteps echoed. A figure emerged from shadows, tall, athletic, dark clothes. In the dim light, she couldn't make out his face clearly. "Hello, Thando." The voice was Minho's. Exactly Minho's. "I've been looking forward to meeting you properly." "Which one are you?" She kept her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Does it matter?" He stepped closer, and even in better light she couldn't tell any difference. Same face, same build, same tattoos visible on his forearms. "We're the same person split into 2 bodies. Same DNA, same training, same skills in every area." His smile was familiar and wrong simultaneously. "Did you enjoy sleeping with me? Or was it my brother? Can you even tell the difference?" "Minho has the scar." "We both have the scar, you stupid girl," he laughed, cold and amused. "Identical twins. Everything about us is the same. That's the point." In her earpiece, a voice. Minho's voice. "That's Junho. I'm coming in." But then another voice, also in her ear, also identical. "No, that's me in the warehouse. The one talking to you now is Junho. Don't trust him." Thando's world tilted. 2 voices in her ear, both claiming to be Minho. One man in front of her. She didn't know who to believe. The man in the warehouse pulled out a photograph. "Your father and I were friends once, partners even. He was investigating the weapons network, and I was his inside source. But then he found out too much. Discovered I was playing both sides, selling information to the highest bidder. So I killed him. He smiled. 3 shots, center mass, watched him bleed out on that hotel room floor. You're Junho, she said with forced certainty. Am I? His smile widened. Or am I Minho confessing the truth? Maybe I made up the twin story to manipulate you. Maybe there never was a Junho. Just me, using an elaborate lie to seduce the daughter of a man I murdered. The warehouse doors burst open. Another man entered, identical to the first. Same height, same build, same tattoos, same clothes even, both wearing dark jeans and black shirts. He's lying, the newcomer said urgently. I'm Minho, that's Junho. No, I'm Minho, the first insisted. He's Junho trying to confuse you. Thando pointed her gun, swinging it between them, unable to choose. They looked exactly the same, moved the same. Even their voices were identical. How do I tell you apart? Her voice shook. Ask us something only the real Minho would know, one suggested. Something intimate from our time together, the other added. But Thando suddenly realized the horrifying truth. What if she'd been with both of them? What if they'd been switching places and she never knew? The man after the club's shooting, had his personality been slightly different? The way he touched her, the things he said? Sujin burst in with backup, gun drawn. Even she hesitated, looking between the twins. The twins began circling each other, mirrors of each other, both claiming to be Minho, both with identical scars, identical knowledge of Thando, identical everything. Then they attacked each other. Vicious, perfectly matched combat. Fists and elbows and knees, both trained identically, fighting with lethal precision. In the chaos, one twin broke away, grabbed Thando, put a gun to her head. Let me walk out or she dies. The other twin froze, hands raised. Please, don't do this. I'm begging you. The one holding Thando whispered in her ear, soft enough only she could hear. The real Minho would never beg. He's too proud, too controlled. That's how you know which one I am. Then he released her, spun, and shot the other twin. The impact threw the shot man backward. He hit the concrete floor hard, blood spreading from his chest. Thando screamed, running to him, pressing her hands to the wound even though she could see it was fatal. He looked up at her, blood on his lips. I loved you. That part wasn't a lie. His eyes were Minho's eyes, or Junho's eyes, filled with pain and something that might have been regret. I'm sorry, then he was gone, dead. The surviving twin pulled Thando into his arms as she sobbed. It's over. Junho's dead. You're safe now. But Thando pulled back, looking at his face, searching for any sign of who he really was. Which one are you? He held her gaze steadily. I'm Minho. You're Minho. Junho is dead. Prove it. How? We're identical. There's no proof except my word. He cupped her face. You have to choose to believe me, Thando. To trust me. She looked at the dead man on the floor, then at the living one holding her. The warehouse spun. Sujin was calling for cleanup. Sirens wailed in the distance. And Thando realized with creeping horror, she didn't know if she just watched Junho kill Minho or Minho kill Junho. The man holding her, the man she'd fallen for, might be the psychopath who murdered her father. She had no way to know for certain. Let's go home, he said gently, guiding her toward the exit. As they left, she glanced back at the body one last time, and she could have sworn, just for a second, she saw the dead man's lips curve into the faintest smile. The next 72 hours were a waking nightmare Thando couldn't escape. The man who'd shot the other twin, the man claiming to be Minho, took her back to the penthouse that night, held her while she cried, whispered reassurances that it was over, that Junho was dead, that she was safe now. His voice was right. His touch was familiar. Everything about him seemed like the man she'd fallen for. But small things felt wrong. The way he made coffee the next morning, 2 sugars instead of 1. Had Minho taken 2 sugars before? She couldn't remember clearly. Her mind was fractured from trauma and exhaustion. A phrase he used, No worries when she apologized for something. Had he said that before? Or had it always been, don't worry about it? The difference was tiny, maybe meaningless, but it nagged at her. The way he touched her that night when they went to bed. His hands on her body felt familiar, but somehow not quite right. The pressure slightly different. The rhythm changed. Or was she imagining it? Was paranoia making her see differences that didn't exist? She studied his face constantly, searching for any sign of who he really was, but he looked exactly like the man she'd been with. Same tattoos in the same places, same scar on his shoulder blade, same intense dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her. Was this Minho, or was this Junho, having successfully eliminated his brother and now playing the role of the survivor? She was too terrified to ask directly, because if this was Junho and he realized she suspected, he'd kill her. So she played along, pretending everything was fine, smiling when he smiled, responding when he touched her, all while her mind screamed in confusion and terror. At night, when he fell asleep, she searched, carefully, quietly, going through drawers and closets and hidden spaces, looking for anything that would tell her the truth about who was lying beside her in that bed. In the back of his office closet, behind expensive suits, she found them. 2 phones, both hidden in a false bottom of a leather briefcase. She powered one on with shaking hands, terrified of what she'd find. The messages made her blood run cold. Conversations between 2 people coordinating their lives. You take the meeting at Eclipse tonight. I'll handle the shipment pickup. She's getting suspicious about the coffee thing. Be more careful. Your turn with her tomorrow night. I had her last night and she's exhausting. Did you tell her about the childhood burn scar? Good. Keep the story consistent. They'd been working together. Minho and Junho, coordinating, switching places deliberately, playing her like she was a puppet in their sick game. But the messages didn't identify which one was which. Just you and me. No names. No way to tell who was the supposed good twin and who was the psychopath. What if there never were a good twin and an evil twin? What if they were both monsters, both playing roles, both using her for whatever twisted purpose they served? Or even worse, what if there was only one person? One man with severe dissociative identity disorder, creating an elaborate fiction about a twin brother to explain the fractured pieces of his personality? The phone slipped from her trembling hands, clattering on the closet floor. She powered it off, returned it to its hiding place with shaking fingers, and stumbled to the bathroom where she vomited until there was nothing left inside her. Every interaction after that discovery was pure torture. When he made love to her, she didn't know whose hands were on her body, the man she'd fallen him for, or the monster who'd killed her father. When he whispered, "I love you," against her skin, she didn't know if it was truth or the cruelest manipulation. When he held her at night, she lay awake in the darkness, terrified of the stranger wearing such a familiar face. She tried calling Sujin for help, desperate for someone outside this nightmare to give her answers, to tell her she wasn't losing her mind. The number went straight to a disconnected message. She tried the 3 other numbers she'd saved from their meeting. All disconnected, all gone. She drove to Sujin's suburban house the next day. The address burned into her memory. A different family answered the door, a young couple with a toddler. They'd lived there for 6 months, they said, bought it from the previous owners who'd moved suddenly, left no forwarding address. Park Sujin had vanished, like she'd never existed at all. Thando felt reality fragmenting around her, the edges of her sanity fraying. What was real? What was performance? Who could she trust when even her own perceptions were unreliable, when her memories might be contaminated by lies? She needed concrete proof, something undeniable, something that would tell her the truth even if her mind couldn't. She broke into the security office at Obsidian nightclub one night when Minho thought she was home sleeping, used her investigative journalism skills to hack into the archive footage, pulling up 3 months of recordings. She watched at high speed, eyes glued to the screen, and what she saw destroyed the last fragments of her sanity. There were 2 men, definitely, undeniably 2 separate people. She watched them switch places multiple times across the weeks of footage. One would enter Minho's private office through the back entrance, while the other left through the front. They'd meet in back corridors for brief exchanges, then separate. Sometimes Minho at the club bar had subtly different body language, different energy, because it was literally a different person. They'd been taking turns with the business, with her, with everything. And she'd slept with both of them. Multiple times, they'd been passing her between them like she was nothing more than a toy they shared. And she'd never known, never suspected until it was far too late. The revelation sent her stumbling from the security office, gasping for air in the empty club. She wanted to scream, to burn everything down, to make them both hurt the way she was hurting. She went back to the penthouse at dawn, her decision made. He was awake, making breakfast in the kitchen, looking domestic and normal, like none of this was real. "Where were you?" he asked with apparent concern in his voice. "I know what you are." Her voice was flat, emotionless, dead inside. "Both of you." He froze, spatula in hand, then slowly, carefully set it down and turned to face her. "What do you think you know?" "I found the phones, read the messages, watched the security footage showing two of you switching places." She stayed near the door, hand near her concealed gun. "You've been taking turns with me, playing me like I'm some kind of game between you." He was quiet for a long moment, his face unreadable. Then, instead of denying it, instead of trying to lie his way out, he smiled, sad and tired and almost relieved. "You're smarter than we gave you credit for." The admission hit her like a physical blow, even though she'd been expecting it. "Which one are you right now? Does it matter anymore?" He moved toward her slowly, hands visible, non-threatening. "You fell in love with both of us, Thando. The gentle one and the dangerous one. The honest one and the liar. The one who cooked you breakfast and the one who pushed you against walls. You can't separate them because they're part of the same whole." "That's not true, isn't it?" He stopped a few feet away, giving her space. "Think about it. You loved every version of me, the vulnerable moments and the commanding ones, the sweet words and the rough touch, every facet, because deep down on some level, you knew there was more than one person here, and you responded to all of it. Stop playing mind games with me." "I'm not playing games. For the first time since this started, I'm telling you the complete truth." His voice dropped, became almost gentle. "We're not just twins, Thando. We're something else entirely. Something the Korean intelligence apparatus created when we were children." "Nah, what are you talking about?" "Sit down, please. Let me explain everything." Against every instinct screaming at her to run, Thando sat on the edge of the couch, gun in her lap, finger near the trigger. "Talk, and if I don't like what I hear, I'm walking out that door." He sat across from her, maintaining careful distance, respecting her space. "When we were 5 years old, we were separated from our family and placed in an experimental program. Black operations, highly classified. The goal was to create the perfect operatives, identical twins, trained identically, coordinated perfectly. 2 bodies, 1 operative. Perfect deniability for any mission." "That's insane." "It was effective. For years, we functioned as one person split across 2 physical bodies. We shared everything through constant communication, trained to mirror each other's movements, speech patterns, mannerisms, everything. We became completely interchangeable, indistinguishable even to the people running us. Then what happened? The program broke us." His voice carried decades of pain. "We started losing track of which one was which. Our sense of individual identity fractured, merged, split apart again. Sometimes I wake up and genuinely don't know if I'm Minho or Junho. Sometimes we both believe we're Minho. Sometimes we both believe we're Junho. The lines between us dissolved years ago." Thando stared at him, trying to process the horror of what he was describing. "You're telling me you have dissociative identity disorder. We both do, except our alternate identities are split across 2 separate physical people instead of contained in one." He leaned forward, his expression intense. "Your father found out about the program 5 years ago. He was investigating not just the weapons trafficking network, but the intelligence operation behind it. The experiments on children, everything. So yes, one of us killed him. And yes, the other one has been trying to atone for it ever since. But Thando, his voice broke with genuine emotion. We're the same person. We share the guilt. We share the love we feel for you. We share everything because we can't exist as separate individuals anymore. We don't know how. That's the most twisted, horrible thing I've ever heard. I know. Believe me, I know. And we should have told you from the beginning, but he gestured helplessly. How do you explain this to someone? How do you tell a woman you're falling in love with her when you're not even sure which version of you is the one doing their falling? Before Thando could respond, before she could even begin to process this nightmare, glass exploded inward. Men in black tactical gear crashed through the penthouse windows, rappelling down from the roof with professional military precision. The man across from her moved with zero hesitation, grabbed Thando, shoved her behind the kitchen counter, his body shielding hers. "Stay down," he shouted, then engaged the attackers with brutal, lethal efficiency. He moved like a weapon, disarming one attacker, breaking another's neck with a precise twist, taking down a third with calculated violence. But there were too many of them, too well trained. A burst of automatic gunfire caught him in the side. He grunted in pain, stumbled, but kept fighting. Took down two more attackers before a second shot hit his shoulder, spinning him around. Thando grabbed her gun from where it had fallen, joined the fight. Her father had taught her to shoot, and the training took over. She dropped one attacker, then another, adrenaline and rage overriding terror. Together they drove off the assault. The remaining attackers retreated when sirens wailed in the distance. Someone in the building had called police. When the shooting finally stopped, he collapsed against the kitchen counter. Blood spread across his shirt from two wounds, his breathing labored and wet-sounding. "No, no, no!" Thando pressed her hands to the wounds, trying desperately to stop the bleeding. "Stay with me! Don't you dare die on me!" "Listen," he coughed, blood appearing on his lips. "The other me, my other self, he hired them, sent them to kill us both." "What? Why would he do that?" "Because," he gasped for air, "he wants to be the only one left. Winner takes all, one identity, one person. He's trying to absorb me completely." "That doesn't make sense. And there's someone else." His grip on her hand was weakening. "Someone who's been controlling both of us from the very beginning, pulling all the strings." "Who?" "Sujin." He forced the name out through obvious pain. "She's not what she seems. Never was. She ran the program when we were children. She's been manipulating us, controlling us, using us for 30 years, pitting us against each other like laboratory rats. Using you for what? Her empire, her criminal network, everything." His eyes were losing focus, pupils dilating. "She orchestrated all of it, Thando. Your father's investigation that got too close to her operation. His murder, bringing you to Atlanta, making sure we'd meet, the warehouse confrontation, the twin drama, all of it. We're just puppets, both of us. Always have been." "That's impossible." "The proof." He coughed violently. More blood. "Her house, the one you went to, basement. She has files, documentation, everything. She's been running us like assets for decades. And now she's coming to eliminate the assets that know too much." His hand went limp in hers. She checked for a pulse. Still there, thready and weak. She called emergency services, applied pressure to his wounds while waiting. As paramedics loaded him into the ambulance and raced away with sirens screaming, Thando made her decision. She needed to find that proof. Needed to know if what he'd said was truth or just another manipulation. She drove back to that suburban house, went around back to the basement entrance, picked the lock with tools her father had taught her to use. Inside was an office the family upstairs clearly knew nothing about. Computers humming, file cabinets lining walls, decades of documentation. Yet, Thando read through it with growing, sickening horror. Park Soo-jin hadn't just been the handler for the twins' childhood program. She'd been the architect, the designer, the one who deliberately fractured two young boys' identities to create perfect interchangeable weapons. When the official government program had been shut down, Soo-jin had gone private, kept the twins under her control, used them for her massive criminal empire. Weapons trafficking, money laundering, corporate espionage, political assassination, all run through two men who could be in multiple places simultaneously, who had perfect deniability, who couldn't even be sure themselves which one had committed which crime. And 5 years ago, when Marcus and Kosi's investigation had gotten too close to exposing Soo-jin's network, she'd given the order. One twin pulled the trigger. The other was kept deliberately ignorant, maximum psychological torture. Then she'd orchestrated everything that followed, leaked Minho's location to Thando's contacts, made sure she'd come to Atlanta seeking revenge, arranged their meeting, fed them information designed to make them fall for each other while destroying each other. The warehouse confrontation, staged to eliminate the twin asking too many questions. Every moment had been choreographed, every emotion manipulated, every revelation calculated. Thando's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her hands shook as she answered. "Hello, Thando." Park Soo-jin's voice was cold, professional, utterly devoid of warmth. "I see you found my little office. Clever girl. You're very much your father's daughter. He was clever too, right up until he wasn't. You orchestrated everything." "Of course I did. The twins are brilliant weapons, but they require direction, purpose, careful handling. When they started developing inconvenient things like consciences and feelings," her voice dripped contempt, "they became liabilities. You destroyed them. You destroyed me. I created them. Everything they are exists because I made it so. As for you, you were always collateral damage, a useful tool to destabilize them emotionally." Soo-jin's tone was matter-of-fact. "Your father was collateral damage too. Wrong place, wrong investigation, wrong time. You're not going to get away with this." Soo-jin laughed, cold and confident. "I've been getting away with it for 30 years, dear. The twins will die, both of them, permanently this time. You'll die. The evidence will burn, and I'll find new weapons to replace them. There are always more broken children who can be shaped into tools. I'll stop you." "No, you won't, because you're already dead, Thando. You just don't know it yet." The line went dead. Thando stood in that basement office surrounded by decades of documented atrocities and realized the full scope of the horror. Park Soo-jin had spent 30 years building an undetectable criminal empire using human weapons she crafted from childhood. She had resources, connections, power Thando couldn't match. And she was coming, not to arrest her, not to intimidate her, but to kill everyone who knew the truth. Thando raced back to the hospital, Soo-jin's threat echoing in her mind. "You're already dead. You just don't know it yet." The emergency room was chaos. Gunshot victims from the penthouse attack being treated, police swarming, questions she couldn't answer without revealing everything. She pushed through, searching for information about him. "The patient from the penthouse shooting." She grabbed a nurse. "Kang Minho. Where is he?" "Surgery. Critical condition." "Are you family?" "I'm all he has." The nurse's expression softened with sympathy. "The waiting room is on the 3rd floor. Someone will update you when there's news." Thando couldn't sit, couldn't wait. She paced the sterile hallway, mind racing through everything she'd learned. Soo-jin had orchestrated 30 years of horror, created 2 human weapons from children, used them, broken them, and now was coming to erase all evidence of her crimes, including Thando. But there was another problem eating at her. If one twin was in surgery fighting for his life, where was the other one? He'd said his other self had hired the attackers, which meant the other twin was out there, possibly working with Soo-jin, possibly another victim. She didn't know which scenario was worse. 3 hours later, a surgeon emerged, exhausted and grim. "Missing Kosi? Your friend made it through surgery. The next 24 hours are critical, but he's stable for now." Relief flooded through her. "Can I see him?" "Brief visits only. He's heavily sedated." She stood by his hospital bed, watching his chest rise and fall with mechanical assistance. Bandages covered the gunshot wounds. His face was pale, peaceful in unconsciousness. He looked younger somehow, vulnerable. Was this Minho or Junho? She still didn't know. I'm sorry, she whispered, gripping his hand, for everything you've been through. For what she did to you. His fingers twitched slightly but didn't wake. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She stepped into the hallway to answer. He's alive. Good. Sujin's voice was clinical. That makes this more interesting. What do you want? I want you to understand the situation clearly. Background noise suggested Sujin was moving, driving perhaps. I have the other twin, the one who wasn't shot. He's here with me now, and we're having a fascinating conversation about loyalty and survival. Thando's blood ran cold. You're lying. Am I? A new voice came on the line, identical to the man in the hospital bed. Thando, she has me. Don't. The sound of a blow, a grunt of pain. Then Sujin again. You have a choice, dear. Come to me alone, unarmed, and I'll let you watch before I kill you both. Or stay hidden, and I kill him slowly while you listen, then hunt you down anyway. She paused. You have 2 hours. I'm sending the address now. The line went dead. A location pin arrived. An abandoned industrial complex outside Atlanta. Thando looked back at the hospital room where one twin lay unconscious, then at her phone showing where the other twin was being held. She couldn't save both. If she went to Sujin, she'd likely die, and the man in the hospital would be defenseless when Sujin came for him next. If she stayed, Sujin would torture and kill the other twin, then come here anyway. Unless she changed the game entirely. She pulled out the USB drive she'd taken from Sujin's basement office. Decades of evidence, enough to bring down an empire. She called the one person she trusted in this nightmare, Detective Morrison, the officer who'd taken her statement after the penthouse attack. I have evidence of a massive criminal conspiracy, international weapons trafficking, money laundering, political assassination, all of it. Miss Nkosi, you need to come to the station. I don't have time. I'm emailing you files right now. Everything you need. But I need something in return. She uploaded the files from her phone. In 2 hours, I need tactical units at this address. No matter what you hear, no matter what it looks like, you raid that location. Arrest everyone inside. We can't just check the files I just sent. You'll understand. And detective, if I don't make it out, make sure this gets to every news organization, every federal agency. Don't let her bury it. She hung up before he could argue. 1 hour and 43 minutes later, Thando walked into the industrial complex alone, hands visible, no weapon. The building was massive, mostly empty, perfect for what Sujin had planned. Sujin waited in the center of the space, elegant even here, holding a gun casually. And tied to a chair nearby was the other twin, bloodied, bruised, but alive. He looked up when Thando entered, his eyes identical to the ones she'd stared into so many times. Which one are you? Thando asked him directly. Does it matter anymore? His voice was hoarse from screaming. We're both dying here today. Touching reunion. Sujin smiled. The weapon and the tool finally together. Do you know, Thando, I've spent 30 years perfecting my creation? These two were my masterpiece. Identical in every way. Interchangeable. Perfect for any operation requiring plausible deniability. You destroyed them. I made them useful. Before me, they were just two ordinary boys. I gave them purpose, power, skills beyond measure. She walked closer to Thando. Your father understood what I'd created. That's why he had to die. He was going to expose the program, ruin decades of work. You murdered him for your ego. I eliminated a threat to national security. Sujin's voice hardened. Those experiments created the most effective operatives in modern intelligence history. The fact that it broke their minds? Acceptable collateral damage. They're human beings. They're weapons. And weapons don't get opinions about their use. She raised her gun, pointing it at the twin in the chair. Watch. Wait. Thando stepped forward. You said you'd let me watch before killing me. That means you have to keep him alive long enough for that. Sujin paused, considering. Clever. You're trying to buy time. I'm trying to understand. 30 years of work. Don't you want someone to appreciate the scope of what you built before you erase it? Vanity 1. Sujin lowered the gun slightly. You want to understand? Fine. Sit. Let me educate you about genius. For 20 minutes, Sujin talked. Described the program's origins, the psychological techniques used to fracture the twins' identities, the operations they'd run across 3 decades. She was proud, boastful, certain of her invincibility. Thando listened, keeping her talking, watching the clock. When SWAT burst through every entrance simultaneously, Sujin spun, shocked. How? You're not the only one who can plan ahead. Thando dove for cover as gunfire erupted. The firefight was brief and brutal. Sujin tried to run, using the twin in the chair as a shield. But Thando had anticipated that. She'd told the tactical team where the hostage would be. They had clear shots. Sujin went down with 3 bullets to center mass. She stared up at Thando as she died, surprise and fury in her eyes. You're just collateral. No, Thando said quietly. I'm Marcus Nkosi's daughter, and you should have killed me when you had the chance. Sujin's eyes went blank. Officers secured the scene, freed the twin from the chair. Paramedics checked him over, badly beaten, but no permanent damage. We need to get him to the hospital, one said. There's another one, Thando told them. His twin brother, already there, recovering from surgery. At the hospital, they put both twins in the same ICU ward, separated by curtains. Thando sat between them, looking at 2 identical faces, still not knowing which was which. The one from the warehouse woke first. Is she dead? Yes, it's over. He closed his eyes, something like relief washing over his face. Good. We're free. Who are you? Really? He looked at her for a long moment. I don't know anymore. Does it matter? The other twin woke hours later, groggy from anesthesia. His first word, Thando, I'm here. The other me. He's alive. He's here. She gestured to the next bed. Both twins turned their heads, looking at each other for the first time since the warehouse. Something passed between them. Recognition, grief, something too complex for words. I'm sorry, one said. I know, the other replied. I killed him. Your father. It was me. I know. They both cried then, silently, tears sliding down identical faces. Over the following weeks, the truth emerged in fragments during therapy sessions, police interviews, federal investigations. The twin who'd pulled the trigger on Marcus Nkosi had been operating under direct orders from Sujin, believing the target was a threat to national security. He'd discovered the truth years later, too late to undo the damage. He'd been trying to atone ever since. That was the good twin story. The other twin had known about the murder all along, but had been psychologically manipulated to believe it was justified, necessary. Only recently had he begun questioning everything. That was why Sujin had decided both needed to be eliminated. They were becoming unreliable assets. But they'd been switching places so many times, sharing memories so completely that even they couldn't always remember which one had done what. The program had achieved its goal, creating 2 interchangeable people. The cost was their sanity, their identity, their humanity. Thando visited them both during recovery, brought them news about the investigation. Sujin's entire network was being dismantled. Other victims of the program were being identified and offered help. The evidence Thando had found was destroying an organization that had operated in shadows for 3 decades. What will you do now? She asked them one day. We're being sent to a specialized facility, one said. Therapists who work with extreme dissociative disorders. They think they can help us figure out who we are as individuals. Will it work? We don't know. Maybe there's no separating us anymore. Maybe we'll always be this. 2 halves of one broken person. I'm sorry, Thando said, for everything. Don't be. The other twin reached for her hand. You saved us. You freed us from her. That's more than we could have done for ourselves. Did you love me? Either of you? Or was that part of the programming too? They looked at each other, then back at her. "We loved you," they said in unison. "That part was real, the only real thing in our entire lives." She believed them. 3 months later, Thando published a book, not about revenge or murder, but about the human cost of intelligence programs that valued results over humanity. It became a bestseller, sparked investigations worldwide, led to reforms in how intelligence agencies operated. Her father's name was cleared posthumously. He received recognition as a hero who died trying to expose corruption. It didn't bring him back, but it meant something. Lovies, if you're not absolutely wrecked right now, watch this again because you missed something. This is Afro-Seoul TV, Between Two Worlds, Beyond All Borders, where we just delivered the darkest, most twisted tearjerker, heartbreaker, and game changer we've ever created. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment. Atlanta, Seoul, Cape Town, London, Mumbai, Sao Paulo? Let's see how far Thando's story has traveled. Hit that subscribe button because we're bringing more stories that'll shatter your mind and heal your heart in ways you never expected. Welcome home, lovies. This is what we do. 1 year later, Thando stood in Johannesburg at her father's grave. She'd finally come home, finally made peace with his memory. "I got them, Dad," she whispered. "All of them." Justice took a while, but it came. She'd started a foundation in his name, supporting investigative journalists, protecting whistleblowers, helping survivors of intelligence agency abuse. The twins had contributed anonymously from the settlement they'd received from the government. She'd seen them once since they'd entered treatment. They were making progress, the doctor said, slowly learning to exist as separate people rather than two halves of one. It would take years, maybe forever. But they were trying. They'd asked if she'd visit again. She'd said maybe. The truth was more complicated. She'd loved them, both of them, but that love was built on lies and manipulation and trauma. Some things couldn't be rebuilt, only mourned and released. She was learning to do that, learning to live with grief instead of rage, with acceptance instead of revenge. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Thank you for giving us a chance to be human again. M and J." She smiled, typed back, "Thank you for surviving." Then she put her phone away, placed flowers on her father's grave, and walked toward the future, alone but unbroken, scarred but free. Between two worlds, beyond all borders, she'd found not the revenge she sought, but something harder and more valuable. Truth, justice, and the strength to keep living even when the answers weren't simple. She'd made him ache, then she'd burned it all down. And from the ashes, she'd built something worth surviving for.